The Extra Innings podcast pregame show starts now. We have a lot to cover today on the Extra Innings podcast pregame show. We're going to recap the crazy game between the Rays and Red Sox from last night. We're also going to preview the Tuesday slate of games. Player breakdown, and today's player breakdown is Pete Crow Armstrong. We're also going to give you a best bet for Tuesday, and then my top 10 power rankings from the past week, and also my top 5 starting pitchers from the first 4 months of the season. And let's get right into it. So the Rays last night, as you know, they played the Red Sox, and the Rays had a lead 3 different times in last night's game. First one was 3-0. And of course, you know, any lead in 3-run lead in baseball is the worst lead you can have. And they blew that. And then they were up 6-3, blew that. Then they were up 7-5, blew that. Up 8-7, blew that lead. And then they managed to somehow win it in the 11th inning without the benefit of, and I'm going to add, without the benefit of getting a hit at all. They had a sacrifice bunt by Jose Caballero and then 3 straight walks. And what a display by the Rays batters in the 11th inning last night of being patient at the plate and not swinging at pitches that were outside the zone. And that just shows you how patient they were willing to be against Zach Kelly of the Red Sox. Now, take into account that I think the Red Sox pitcher Zach Kelly got shafted on a couple of occasions last night with the strike zone. The strike zone was a little hit or miss later on in extra innings for the Red Sox and the Rays. The Rays got some calls in the top of the 11th inning that the Red Sox should have gotten in the bottom of the inning, but they didn't. And we'll see what happens tonight with the Rays and Red Sox. They play again, and my best bet that you will hear in a few minutes is for the Rays and Red Sox game. Now, I'm going to wrap up this segment of the pregame with Red Sox. It was Roman Anthony's major league debut. And if you have any questions about anything in baseball, please feel free to put them in the comment section. And I will be glad to answer them throughout the show. But it was Roman Anthony's major league debut. He went 0 for last night, but he had a strike. He had a walk. And he did strike out. He had a big error during the game. But I think that was first game jitters for Roman Anthony, honestly. I think Roman Anthony's going to be fine. Now, and Red Sox fans, I want to know what y'all think. What was your first thoughts on Roman Anthony's first game in the big leagues? Next, we are going to preview the MLB slate for Tuesday. Starting with at 6:35, we've got the Tigers and Orioles. And it's Brett Herter against Cade Povich. we're going to go through preview every game. And I'm going to tell you who I think is going to win. I think the Tigers are going to win this game. And if you're betting on this game, I would take the Tigers on the run line because I think the Tigers are going to run up the score tonight on the Orioles. I know the Orioles have been on a little bit of a winning streak of late, but are we buying the winning streak the Orioles have been on over the last week and a half? I don't think we can. Due to the fact that we saw before this winning streak that the Orioles couldn't score. They were struggling to have pitchers go 5 innings. And like I said, I'm taking the Tigers here. Next one at 6:40 is the Reds and Guardians. The Reds won this game won last night. Tonight's matchup is Slade Ciccone against Andrew Abbott. And if I'm betting on this game and I'm taking any bets, I'm going to take the Reds money line, and I'm going to take Andrew Abbott and his strikeout total, which I don't know what I believe his strikeout total is 7.5. Whatever his strikeout total is, take over, because the Guardians are very hit or miss when it comes to scoring. They did score a lot last night. They scored 4 runs last night. Can they do that again? I don't think they can. The next one is the Marlins and the Pirates. And it's Mitch Keller going for the Pirates. We don't know who the starter here yet is for the Marlins. I'm assuming maybe Connor Gillespie, because he was recalled over the weekend from AAA. They have not announced a starter yet. Or are they going to call up maybe a Robbie Snelling from AAA? And the bet I would take here is the Pirates money line, along with Mitch Keller to go at least 6 innings. And I think that the Pirates have been on a season high 4-game winning streak. I think they can make it 5. The key to this winning streak has been their starting pitching has been really good. They're getting timely hitting. And they just came off of a big sweep over the weekend against the Phillies. And speaking of the Phillies, that's the next game. The Cubs and Phillies is the next one. And it's Mick Abel against Colin Ray. And that's at 6:45. At 6:40 was the Pirates and the Marlins. 6:45, Phillies and Cubs. If I'm taking the Cubs to bounce back after losing on a walk-off hit yesterday. I'm taking the Cubs here, and I like the over-under. I believe it was 8 runs yesterday. They were really close to getting it if they would have went past the 10th inning. So, and I'm actually going to change that. I like the under. I think this is going to be a sneaky good pitching matchup between Mick Abel and Colin Ray. So give me the under, but if you're willing to gamble, I would take the under. And if you can do a same game parlay with this game, I would also take the Cubs on the money line. So the bet in this game, like I said, is under on the total and Cubs money line. Then you got the Mets and the Nationals. Now watch out for the Nationals. They are coming in red hot, 30-35 on the year. And I sneakily think the Nationals, and come back to this at the beginning of July, but I think the Nationals could make a run at the playoffs. And I like this pitching matchup tonight between Mackenzie Gore and Griffin Canning. And I'm taking the Nationals in this game to beat the Mets. And I like the Nationals on the money line. Now, Rays and Red Sox. I'm taking the Rays to win, and I feel like Ryan Pepio is going to go 7 innings tonight. You'll get my best bet. You'll get my bet for this game later on because it is my best bet for tonight. We slide down the slate. The last 3 games were 2 of them, 1 at 6:45 and 2 at 7:10. Now we get to 7:40, and we've got the Twins and the Rangers. The Rangers offense has come alive. It's Tyler Mahle against Simeon Woods Richardson. And Mahle really hasn't given up a lot of runs this year. So I would take Mahle in under 2.5 runs. And I think the Rangers are going to win this game. And also, if you're betting on the Rangers Twins game, take under whatever the run total is, because both the Twins, if they have the lead later on in the game, or the Rangers, their bullpens have both been razor thin sharp this year. So I'm going Rangers, and I'm going under the total and under 2.5 runs given up by Tyler Mahle. Then you got the Yankees and Royals at 7:40 in Kansas City. Max Fried and Noah Cameron. Noah Cameron he was one of the Royals' top pitching prospects. And I expect Noah Cameron to have a decently good game against the Royals. Against the Yankees. Correction. Because we've seen the Yankees, they've had some injuries of late. And I think shocker, I think this is going to be the lowest scoring game of the night. Look at the pitchers and the 2 starting pitchers, both lefties, and look at their ERA. 0.085. 0.85 for Noah Cameron and 1.78 for Max Fried, which means both of these pitchers don't give up a lot of runs. So if you're betting on this game, take the under on the run on the total. And I do like Max Fried to get a lot of strikeouts, though. My prop bet for this game, though, is Jack Caglione to get at least 1 hit. And it pains me as a Rays fan, but I'm going to take the Yankees. I think the Yankees get the win. Brewers and Braves. Grant Holmes against Quinn Priester. Now, I've been really that's not Clay Holmes. That's Grant. I like the over in this game. I think there's going to be a lot of runs scored. I think Atlanta's going to get the win. Give me the Braves. Blue Jays and Cardinals at 7:45 p.m. We've got Chris Bassett against Miles Michaelis. Give me the Cardinals to win this game. And if you're betting on this game, take the money line, the Cardinals on the money line. Because the Cardinals did win yesterday. Astros and White Sox at 8:10. And as much as it pains me to do this, and I might sound dumb, I'm going to take the White Sox. I'm going to take the White Sox here because the Astros, even though they've won a lot of late, 36-29, I think we could see the White Sox win at least 1 game in this series. And it's Lance McCullers against Shane Smith. I like Shane Smith and his strikeout prop. So take Shane Smith and over the strikeout prop. Parlay it with the over on the run total in this game. And like I said, give me the White Sox. Giants and Rockies. This one's easy. Give me the Giants. And give me Kyle Harrison's strikeout total. And I that's self-explanatory. The Rockies are, as you can see, the Rockies are abysmal. No, that's not what I wanted. The Rockies are abysmal. They're 12-53. So, like I said, and you can also take the Giants money line too. And then we get to the bottom of the slate tonight. And we've got the Athletics and the Angels. And one of the catches of the year happened last night in this game. Denzel Clark of the Athletics went over the fence to rob a home run. I'm taking the Athletics, and there will be a lot of scoring in this game. So take the over on the run line, on the total correction, and take the Athletics on the money line. Soriano and Spence, if you look at Soriano, both of them have decently high ERAs. But like I said, I think the Athletics won this. Dodgers and Padres. The Dodgers have not announced the starter yet. Going for the Padres is Dylan Cease. I am going to take the Dodgers I'm going to take the Padres here to win. And I like the Padres on the money line. And then the last game is the Mariners and the Diamondbacks. I am taking the Diamondbacks again to win. Brandon Pfaadt against Logan Evans. Two right-handed pitchers. Give me Brandon Pfaadt here. And give me his outs total over 19.5 outs. Player breakdown time on the pregame. Share screen. Today's player breakdown is Pete Crow Armstrong. Here's his value. Batting run value. 91, 91st percentile, which is really good. Base running value. 99th percentile. Really, as you can see, and his values are really good. Batting. Expected batting average. Pete Crow, you can look at all these stats by Pete Crow Armstrong, and people are going to say, oh, that's still not worthy of being in the discussion for MVP. Well, let's look at his 2025. So plate appearances. He's had 280 plate appearances so far in the season. At-bats, 261. 50 runs scored, 72 hits, 17 home runs, 21 stolen bases. He's on pace for a 2020 season. That average at 276, okay, he can lift that up more. And then the on-base percentage at 310, that's really good. 556 slugging is also good. Slugging, the OPS at 866, that is really good. Personal breakdown here. The only thing I see here, whiff rate is 27%, which is, yes, he still does strike out. He strikes out a lot, but my breakdown here is basically what I'm saying is the bat speed is really good. 72% on the bat speed. That's almost a quick bat. So say this is his bat. It goes through the zone like this. Barrel percentage, that's how much he's barreling up the ball. And almost 15%. I don't see. I can see his barrel rate increasing throughout the season. Hard hit rate, 43.6%. I like that. Squared up percentage, 24.2%. That's good. The only thing I think he needs to work on is chasing. Chase percentage is 44%. He needs to lower that a little bit, and I think he'll be fine. Let's check his fielding. Range, 11. 1 on the arm value. Strength, base running, 29.4%. Let's see his so he's 23 years old. And his barrel rate right now at 23 years old is 14.5%. Barrel percentage plate appearance, 10%. 108 max exit velo, 108.6. Launch degree, let's see what his bat tracking is. So, breaking down his bat tracking. This year, 2023, his bat tracking was the bat percentage, bat speed, 73%. I mean, it went down last year. It's back up this year to 72%. Fast swing rate percentage, 20%. Swing length, 7.5%. Contact, 31%. Swing percentage, squared up. So he squares the ball up on his swing at a 24.2%. Blasts. Contact rate, 13.4%. Swing percentage is 10%. Swords, 10. So basically what I'm trying to tell you is Pete Crow Armstrong is having a breakout season for the Cubs. And I feel safe putting some money down on Pete Crow Armstrong. For MVP. How much? Probably $4 to $5. Because there's gonna be other guys that have higher odds than him at winning MVP. Next, we get to my best bet for Tuesday night. And I mentioned earlier the reason I skipped the Rays and Red Sox for the bet I liked was because it was my best bet of the night. And it is the Rays on the money line. And if you're going to parlay that, do the Rays on the money line and over 8 runs, because I think the Rays offense, and I'm going to talk about it on the show, on the Extra Innings podcast pregame show tomorrow, how I think the Rays as a team are turning the corner and starting to find their groove. That is a little hint at tomorrow, but I like Rays in Red Sox over on the run total. And I also like the Rays money line pick tonight. Because the Rays did win by 2 runs last night. I think they're going to win by more than 2 tonight. And now we get to my MLB Power Rankings top 10. Nope. I don't want to spoil that. My top 10 power rankings after last week for MLB, and this is how I feel. Now, everybody has their own power rankings. At number 10, I've got the San Francisco Giants. The Giants are starting to turn a corner here, and I feel like throughout the rest of the season, and these power rankings will be updated every Tuesday on the Extra Innings podcast pregame show. Which programming note before I get to the rest. Next week, there's only going to be one show because I will be out of town on Wednesday and Thursday. And I will mention at the end of today's show what I have planned for next Wednesday and Thursday. But the Giants, like I was saying, that I feel like everything's starting to fall into place for them. And they will be around, right now they're at 10. They could move up. Teams can move up and move down in these power rankings or slide out. Like, you don't see the Phillies in here. You don't see the Yankees in here. And I will explain why at the end. At number 9 is the Cleveland Guardians. The reason the Guardians fans, don't get mad at me, the reason you're not higher is due to the fact that your starting pitching is very inconsistent. One day you go out and you have a pitcher give up 1 or 2 runs, strike out 8 or 9. The next day you have a pitcher go out and he gives up 5 or 6 runs and only strikes out 2. I need to see more consistent pitching from the Guardians to move them up higher in the rankings. At number 8 is the Cincinnati Reds. Now, you can say the same thing about the Reds. Why are they at 7? I mean, why aren't they higher than 8? It's because of their pitching. And Hunter Green is on the injured list again. As of recording this, I believe he has been placed on the 15-day injured list again after re-aggravating his groin injury. But the Reds have been they got a good outing from Wade Miley last night, who I believe got the win. Yes, he did. Emilio Pagan has stepped up in the bullpen. So they've been getting consistent outings out of the guys out of the bullpen. Now, like I said, the starting pitching needs to pick it up a little bit. Brady Singer has been a fine addition to that rotation. Andrew Abbott, as you saw in the preview of all the games, he's had a decently good year. He's 5-1. Terry Francona, I think, has been a really good hire for the Reds. And if they can stay consistent and keep winning over the next couple weeks, I don't have an issue with moving them up in the power rankings. At number 7 is the New York Mets and the $800 million man Juan Soto. And Yankees fans, you can keep crying because Juan Soto is officially back. He broke out of his little slump that he was in. And I think the Mets, if they can just, the same thing I said about the Reds, if the Mets can get consistent pitching from the rotation, they will be fine. They will ascend in these rankings. At number 6 is the Milwaukee Brewers. And Brewers fans, I'm a little on edge about having you this high in the initial power rankings because you've kind of been like the other 3 teams, the Reds and the Guardians, who I talked about a minute ago, inconsistent. And this is not with your pitching. Your pitching's been fine. It's your offense that's been inconsistent. Yes, I know you had that long winning streak that you're on for a little bit, but now your offense is kind of they've consequentially turned the key, and now they're only scoring 2 or 3 runs a game. But they have those games still where the offense is more than capable of turning it on and scoring 7 or 8 runs and winning. And if you can consistently do that, the next couple weeks, you'll be flying up the standings. At number 5 is a surprise, the St. Louis Cardinals. I did not think when I made these power rankings that the Cardinals would be in the top 5. And I didn't, I'm going to say I didn't think that because the way they've been playing this year. Could they be potential, dare I say, buyers at the deadline when everybody thought they were going to sell? Maybe. Possibly. And you know what? The bright spot for the Cardinals has been a guy that they acquired from the Rays for Randy Arozarena and Matthew Liberatore. Liberatore has been a bright spot for the Cardinals this year. The Cardinals might have found somebody that could be in one of those top 3 slots going into the future, with a rotation consisting of Tink Kent's down the road, Tink Kent's, Michael McGreevy, Gordon Grosafo, Quinn Matthews, and maybe Chris Roycroft. Or maybe if they want to keep it Eric Fetty or Sonny Gray. I think the Cardinals have a promising future. Problem is, what are they going to do with Nolan Arenado? That's for a whole other video. But at number 4 is the Chicago Cubs. And yes, I know people are going to say, oh, where's the Yankees at? I said I would explain at the end of this. There is 2 teams that are in honorable mention, and you're going to hear those teams after I get through the top 4. So the Cubs are at number 4. And the Cubs offense has been one of the best offenses in baseball this year. Now, can we say the same thing about their pitching's been good, but they're missing Imanaga and they're missing Justin Steele, who's going to be out the rest of the season. Jamison Taillon has stepped up. And you know who else has stepped up? A guy in Ben Brown. I think you have a star on your hands, Chicago, and Ben Brown, and especially Pete Crow Armstrong. At number 3 is the Los Angeles Dodgers. And yes, I understand they have all these injuries to their rotation. Snell, Sasaki, Glasnow. And I know I'm probably missing somebody else. Or injuries in the bullpen, too. And they've had guys like Ben Kasperius step up. Justin Robleski came up, made a start. But we know the Dodgers at the deadline, they're going to go out and they're going to make trades. For whether it be starting pitcher, whether it be a shortstop, because you got Mookie Betts there right now. But I still see the Dodgers as one of the World Series favorites in MLB. At number 2 is the Tampa Bay Rays. And I kind of talked about it earlier. And I'm going to fully talk about it on the show tomorrow. But I think the Rays, in a way, are kind of turning that notch and showing everybody we thought they were going to be we are the team they thought they were going to be coming into the season. Yes, and they're doing all of this without their best pitcher and Shane McClanahan, who the updates are positive. Surprisingly, he could be back late July, as early as late July, and as late as the beginning to middle of August. And can you imagine that rotation with McClanahan at the top and then you just slide everybody else down a spot? And then maybe Zach Littell ends up in the bullpen. And Zach Littell has been good over the last couple of starts. That's the problem is when you got Zach Littell in there and you get Shane McClanahan back, do you stick with his 5-man rotation or do you somehow keep him in there and have a 6-man rotation? And I need to shout out a guy that made his major league debut last night and got the win in their extra innings win. I failed to mention it earlier. Congratulations, Ian Seymour, on getting your first big league win. And number 1 is the best team in all of baseball right now, the Detroit Tigers. The Tigers have one of the best pitching staffs. I know Jackson Job's hurt right now, but when he comes back, you have Casey Mize. Your ace is Tarek Skubal, who will be in another segment in a few minutes. But you have Tarek Skubal, Casey Mize, Reese Olson, Sawyer Gibson Long, Jackson Job. You have Ty Madden down in the minors. The Tigers have a gluttony of starting pitchers. And, I forgot about Jack. They also have Jack Flaherty. Don't let me forget that. And the honorable mention, I said two, there's actually three. The first one is the New York Yankees. And Yankees fans, you can let me hear it down below in the comments. I'm all here for why are the Yankees not in the power rankings this week? Offense. Their offense is very inconsistent. Especially look at the 3-game set against the Red Sox over the weekend. Yes, they did score 7 runs in a couple of those games, but I think the first game they scored 2 or 3 runs and lost. And the other reason is they're starting pitching. Yes, you're getting really good efforts out of Max Fried, Carlos Rodon, Ryan Yarbrough, former Ray, Will Warren. But can you get consistent outings over the next 2 or 3 weeks from them? If you can, then yes, they surely will be in these power rankings going forward. The second honorable mention is the Philadelphia Phillies. And the reason they were going to be at number 10 and the Giants were going to be in honorable mentions. I put the Giants in there because the Giants had a better weekend than the Phillies did. The Phillies got swept by the Pirates. To get swept by the Pirates is horrible. The Pirates are not very good. And the Phillies should have at least taken 2 out of 3 from Pittsburgh. And my last honorable mention is the Washington Nationals. The Nationals are sneaking up on people. And I'm scared to say this as a Reds fan. The Nationals might steal the last wild card spot. And now we get to my top 5 starting pitchers after 4 months of the MLB season. At number 5 is Garrett Crochet of the Red Sox. When this trade happened in the offseason, Crochet got traded to the Red Sox. I said, okay, now Garrett Crochet is about to go out and put on an absolute clinic. He's not in Chicago anymore with the White Sox where he was on an innings limit. He's in Boston now where they will let him be free and not be on an innings limit. And I like Garrett Crochet. I think he's had a really good first couple months of the season. And I will be doing this again after the All-Star break, where I update it, and you'll get my top 20 starting pitchers after the first half of the season in that pregame episode. But at number 4 is Logan Webb. And yes, I know Logan Webb had a rough start to the year, but I feel like Logan Webb has turned a corner, and we're seeing the Logan Webb we saw last year with the Giants. And if we can consistently see that for the rest of the season, I feel like Logan Webb's going to be right here in the top 5. Whether it's on my list or anybody else's top starting pitchers list. At number 3 is a guy that people want to say, oh, he's going to get traded. He's going to get traded. He's going to get traded because the Pirates are horrible. Paul Skeens. First, before I go into preference, the Pirates are not trading Paul Skeens. People that are making videos about it, they're doing it for views and clicks. And the GM, Ben Sherrington, has already came out and said that Paul Skeens is off the table, which means he will not be moved. And Paul Skeens has been ridiculous. I understand he's only got 1-1 this year. But Paul Skeens has been utterly ridiculous. And I am going to say he's probably pitching tomorrow night or tomorrow afternoon for the Pirates against the Marlins. So if you haven't watched the game where Paul Skeens starts, highly recommended. The dude throws absolute missiles. At number 2 is Max Fried of the Yankees. Max Fried signed that big free agent deal with the Yankees. And everybody's like, oh, yay, the Yankees have another starting pitcher. And at the time, we're like, oh, he's going to be the number 2 behind Garrett Cole. That was until Garrett Cole had to have Tommy John surgery. So now Max Fried has been the ace of the Yankees. And to say the least, I think it's gone smoothly. Because Garrett Cole's also going to be out to be probably for the entire 2026 season. And Max Fried is going to be the ace next year unless they somehow make another big free agent signing. And it's maybe a Zach Gallen or maybe Merrill Kelly. I wouldn't doubt it. It's Brian Cashman. And at number 1 is the reigning Cy Young winner from the American League, Garrett and Tarik Skubal. Tarik Skubal has been dominant this year. And you can't tell me that Tarik Skubal is not on track to win back-to-back Cy Young Awards. I think he is. Honestly. And my honorable mention goes to Rays starting pitcher Ryan Pepio. Pepio has had to step up and kind of be the ace this year with Shane McClanahan being out. And as I mentioned, we're not done yet, but I just want to update you. As I said, there will only be one episode of the Extra Innings podcast pregame show next week on Tuesday at 3:30, because next Wednesday and Thursday I will be out of town in Franklin, Tennessee for a concert. But I will still be I'm bringing back the much anticipated daily vlogs Wednesday after I get to my hotel and Thursday during the day because the concert is at night. So be looking out for that. That does not wrap up the pregame. We are going to briefly talk about some questionable moves the Rays have made. First one being, I understand you need a fresh arm up because the bullpen might be taxed from the extra innings game last night. But why send down a guy like Ian Seymour? He gave you 2 innings. He only gave up 1 run and it was unearned. I understand that. But you could have sent somebody else down. And then the other head-scratching option was, I like Jake Mangum being back, and he had a big he had 4 hits last night. But you could have sent, and I understand Christopher Morel is kind of turning it around, but you could have DFA'd Christopher Morel and kept Chandler Simpson in the big leagues. And the other move that I think needs to be made soon is you look down at AAA for the Rays, and they've got Carson Williams sitting there. I understand you get Hassan Kim back soon, but Kim can play shortstop. He can play second base. Have him platoon with Brandon Lau. And then you bring up Carson Williams and put Carson Williams at shortstop and stick him in there every day. And with the outside chance that he wins the Rookie of the Year. And if he does, then guess what? Yeah, you've earned yourself an extra draft pick in the draft next year or the year after. And please remember to subscribe. And that will wrap up this episode of the Extra Innings Podcast pregame show. I will see you back here at 5:30 for the Extra Innings Podcast with Bradley and me. Have a good rest of your Tuesday night. Rest of your Tuesday.